Horse racing is back at Saratoga for the second of 3 times this summer, if that's how you want to look at it. Chris Onorato, Ashley Miller, live on Onorato and Miller on a Thursday night. If you're catching us over the weekend on my 4 Saturday nights, Sunday mornings on News Channel 13. We got a little early afternoon play on News Channel 13 last week, bumped because something happening Sunday morning. And then I was just kind of at home watching baseball, moving around a little bit, and I saw we were on from 1 to 2 p.m. or something.
Prime time. Or not prime time.
A little bit of a new audience, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
We'll play back some of our special live coverage from Saratoga Race Course on this Thursday morning with expert from Naira Betts. He's their chief content officer. We'll talk with Naja Thompson, who's he's the executive director of New York Thoroughbred Breeders. And we'll bring you a story about a 2-time Whitney champion, a horse that just recently passed away at old friends at Cabin Creek. We'll also share with you part of our conversation with one of the founders of the Beach Boys, Mike Love. They were just here at the Palace Theater in Albany. We had an opportunity to catch up with Mike, so we'll share you some of that conversation. Mike Love. Yeah.
I mean, any kind of love. You can't lose.
Jordan.
Kevin Love, Jordan Love.
Well, and obviously there's a connection with Kevin Love and Mike Love. Mike is Kevin's uncle. So we've got a lot to get to here. The Knicks have a head coach. NBA free agency has been crazy. The defending champs, 2-time defending champs in the NHL are loaded up and ready to go. And a bizarre story in Major League Baseball, although more and more of these keep popping up with ties to gambling. We'll talk about what's going on with one of the Guardians pitchers in Major League Baseball.
This is Onorato and Miller, sponsored by Alpen House.
Alpen House, Marcella's, Bev's, Novice, and Performance Industrial with us every single week here on Onorato and Miller. And that leads to one of our weekly segments here on the show.
And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
Bill Miller, his great crew of Performance Industrial, where there's never a job that's too dirty or too difficult for them to get it done. We lead the show with a triple D here. The next search for a new head coach is done. It'll be Mike Brown, expected to be hired now that he's had a second interview with Leon Rose and James Dolan heading up the Knicks organization here. I got to tell you, Brown has had success in his career. He's a 2-time NBA Coach of the Year. Mm-hmm. And as a top assistant, he has won multiple championships with the Spurs and the Warriors. This one just feels like it falls flat. And again, I'm not the Tom Thibodeau stan.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't want to keep Thibodeau, fine. But you had to show me as a marquee organization in the NBA that you were going to upgrade significantly over Tibbs. And Mike Brown is not that. You can say all day long, well, he plays more of his bench than Tibbs. Okay, fine. But
so does every other coach on the planet.
Yeah, and look, now they have a better bench after they signed Yabusele and Jordan Clarkson, who was a former 6th man of the year. So there is more bench punch that Brown has to work with. I don't know that the depth was really there for the Knicks anyway when Tibbs wasn't playing guys off the bench. Anyway, Brown being the guy, okay, I think I would like Mike Brown as a person. Mm-hmm. Does he really change the direction or the ceiling of this franchise? I don't see it that way.
Yeah, I don't think so. But when you say you needed to upgrade, well, the Knicks didn't have that in the plans, because if they did, they would have had other plans. Who else could they?
Well, they tried though.
There?
They went. They.
But those guys weren't available.
Correct.
And so unless there are guys available who you feel like are an upgrade, then what are you doing? And that was kind of like, okay, well, we're going to go try to get Jason Kidd, and we're going to go try to get all these other guys. I mean, there was talk of Mike Malone, who I don't know that would have been an upgrade, but it still would have been probably better in my mind than a guy like Mike Brown. I do think players like Mike Brown. I think players like playing for Mike Brown.
Yes.
That seems to be pretty much a consensus on all the other teams he's gone to, even when he hasn't won.
Yep.
And like you said, I think he's a likable guy. I think he's a really good coach. Is he going to win a title as a head coach with the New York Knicks? Maybe not.
Taylor Jenkins fired by the Grizzlies. One guy that the Knicks looked at extensively, James Borrega, who's been a head coach and now is an assistant again. But yeah, Jason Kidd, Ime Udoka, they requested interviews with these players, and those respective franchises shut down the Knicks' efforts. Here's some of the numbers on Brown. Again, a 2-time NBA Coach of the Year. Fired by Sacramento last year after that 13-18 start. Took the Cavaliers to the finals in 2007, I think it was, swept by the Spurs. And then with the Lakers and again with the Kings. And this has, speaking of the Lakers, has fueled some speculation that LeBron really likes Mike Brown. And not that the Knicks would hire Mike Brown
to get LeBron.
But
why not?
Could it
Sure.
kind of create an opportunity, if not this year through a trade, maybe next year in free agency, as LeBron has opted into the final year of his deal at 52.6 or something like that.
Like at what point are we going to stop trying to...
Never. Not till he retires.
To put all of our eggs in the LeBron basket.
Oh.
Like, dude's old.
Well, yeah, and
old.
that's my thing is I don't know that they're putting all their eggs in the LeBron basket here, but it's just kind of an interesting leap, if you will, that, hey, you hired Mike Brown. Oh, by the way, LeBron likes Mike Brown. They have a history together, and wouldn't it be something if LeBron, now just play this out with me here. LeBron is quoted as saying on a podcast recently that the media is too obsessed with the ring culture, right? That the rings matter too much in determining a player's legacy.
Everywhere.
But years prior, when LeBron won the title in Cleveland, he said, I believe this makes me the greatest of all time by winning this ring. So you can't have it both ways. The ring culture exists in the media and by the players.
World,
How much does Charles Barkley on his own talk about the fact that he never won an NBA championship? It's both sides here. Wouldn't it be the crowning achievement if LeBron James went to the Knicks and won a title with the Knicks?
If anyone,
then people would say he won in Cleveland and he won in New York. And he had obviously a title with the Lakers, another iconic franchise. Like that might be enough for the old heads like me who say Jordan, Jordan, Jordan to go, man, got to give it up to that guy.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think it's going to happen. But
that he'll go to New York or that he'd win in New York?
Go to New York and win.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's late in his career. And it won't be just because of him. And he's still, we talk about it all the time.
Incredible. At
his age, 40 years old, to be a top 10 player in the game, top 15 player in the game.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Wherever he ranks, yes, to me just doesn't matter because when I watch him, I know that he has become a better player. His three-point shot is as good as it's ever been.
Yeah, he used to never shoot threes in his prime.
Still as athletic as he's ever been. It's pretty
you
incredible.
Just know, I always say this, like he was the first guy who dunked a basketball, and I was like, he looks like he's dunking a tennis ball. Like he made it look so easy. And so like, okay, I can look like that when I dunk a tennis ball because, a tennis ball weighs nothing and it's small. Like that's what he made everything seem like. It made it just seem like he was playing with a tennis ball against a bunch of kids who couldn't keep up. Now the kids can keep up, but he still has the ability to give you flashes of that.
Yeah.
I also do think whoever goes to New York, whoever that player is, that is the star on a championship basketball team in New York, will get this next level crowning achievement. You don't have to be LeBron James. You don't have to be winning your 4th, 5th, or 6th title. I just think that person, there will be so much glorification of that person because of what you are able to achieve, despite the fact, well, like whether it's that good or not, just winning a title in New York.
No doubt. Sam says Mike Brown won't last 2 years with the Knicks. If he does, he'll make it 2. He'll make it at least 2. He has to. He just absolutely has to. Brian's point here, Bronny is in the package with him, and Bronny has been asked about, hey, is your dad going to stay with the Lakers? How are you viewing that? Does it affect your future with the franchise? And obviously the sale, I think, of the Buss family now to new ownership with the Lakers changes the way this franchise will view the LeBron-Bronny dynamic. I just don't think the new ownership cares at all about that. It was done in a very family way for LeBron, and great. Good on Jeannie Buss, and it created a little bit of a stir for a little bit.
Is Bronny going to play significant minutes this coming season?
I don't think so.
I'm just going back to
that would be
the conversation.
At least 10 minutes a game off the bench for me.
Yeah, I mean, is he going to play off the bench?
If you're a bench player, if you're a significant bench player, a contributor, you play every single night. He will not. Okay. Right?
I mean, I didn't think he'd even be in the league, so I'm not sure that I'm a fair judge.
Yeah, man. Sam, yes. Yes is the answer. Be at the track next Thursday for opening day. We'll do the morning show up there, and we'll do the noon show up there the same way we did Belmont opening day and now July 4th opening day, if you will. Happy 4th to you, Carol, as well. Always good to have you here. Brian as well. Thanks for checking in, man. Happy 4th of July to everybody out there. Hope you enjoyed. The weather looks like it's going to be absolutely perfect.
2 weekends in a row of good weather?
Perfect.
Dry weather?
For the 4th of July, and then the weekend with a little bit of heat as well. All right, let's take a break here on Onorato and Miller. When we come back, Caitlin Clark ranked 9th among guards in the WNBA, according to a players ballot.
Of course.
Interesting. We'll talk about that. We'll share part of our conversation with the Beach Boys' Mike Love and bring you some of our special live coverage from Saratoga Race Course earlier on today. Back in a minute.
Grab the family and get on the water in style with a Barletta pontoon featuring the power of a Mercury outboard motor. You'll be slicing through the waves with a smoother, quieter ride, leaving you to relax and soak up the sun. Whether you're cruising with a family or tubing and skiing, Barletta and Mercury will give you the best ride on the lake. With their unmatched reliability and refined performance, Barletta and Mercury won't let anything hold you back from having a summer you'll never forget. So don't wait. Stop by Alpenhaus Boats and start your next adventure today. Check out our great selection on Route 30 in Amsterdam and online at alpenhausboats.com.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bev's, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just going to have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bev's. At the end of the day, if you walk in these stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
All right, Ash, I want to get to this because I just think it's a really interesting thing. We see it happening in the NBA. We've seen NFL players suspended just for betting on sports while in the team facility. We've seen NBA players accused or at least suspicion around them about being involved in some of it. And of course, Shohei Ohtani's interpreter takes the cake. But Major League Baseball is investigating betting activity on 2 pitches.
2 singular
by the Guardians' Luis
pitches.
Ortiz. He has now been placed on paid leave through July 17th while baseball looks into this. But what baseball is looking into here is unusual activity around 2 first pitches of an inning in separate games. And the betting activity was on that first pitch to either be a ball or a hit batsman. And in both cases, it ended up being a ball way out of the strike zone on sliders, I believe. And so the suspicion here is that
I'm fascinated.
Luis Ortiz agreed in some way with people that in the 3rd inning, my first pitch is going to be a ball. Now, I might end up hitting the guy because I'm going to throw it so far. I don't know, right? And the activity was in New York and Ohio and one other state.
New
Jersey. Okay. And it raised red flags.
I love that they can tell this stuff.
This to me is just like...
I love that they can tell this stuff. Like, it had to be, in order to raise a red flag in betting, it has to be like an insane amount more.
And not just one bettor, right? Somebody who can bet a lot of money to move a market. We're talking about a lot of bets.
A lot of bets, a lot of probably high money bets. If people think that they know a specific pitch is going to be whatever, you throw an unusual amount of money. And that's the other thing is like, was there an unusual amount of money played on this particular pitch? And then across, it's not just like one guy throwing $1 million. It's like a bunch of guys throwing just significantly more than they normally would. Like, I'm throwing $5,000 on a first pitch bet, but I'm your average Joe.
Yeah.
Why are a lot of people throwing a lot of money at this random first pitch? You got to do something wrong when 2 random pitches are raising red flags.
Yeah. Sam asked, really surprised. Yes, I think that was always the fear that as online gambling grew, that more and more players would, maybe even coaches, get kind of caught up in this type of stuff. And so a younger me would have been surprised by these allegations, but there's still a part of me that thinks, do you really stand, Luis Ortiz, right? Do you really stand to make significantly more money being part of these things than just
to lose everything?
Than just, I don't know what let's say he's just on the minimum contract in Major League Baseball. Some side bets here and there. It just feels like, boy, the risk is not worth a reward here.
Nope. And that's what I don't understand. Like, you're taking on a lot of risk just for and you probably don't think it's that big a deal. Like, hey, I'm not throwing a game. And that's what people think.
Right. It's like one pitch. Okay.
But it's
who's going to know?
But here's the deal. Part of it is for your own protection, your teammates' protection. But now you're messing with people's lives because you're convincing and people are being convinced to put large amounts of money on you. And like, God forbid you throw a strike and somebody bets the house on a ball. And now they've lost everything. Like, now this isn't a fair game. This isn't a game of chance. It's a game of you're messing with it. You're playing God a little bit.
He doesn't throw a good enough slider that is well outside of the zone, but somebody still swings at it.
Yep. Yeah. I just think like there's so much more to it than this, but you've seen it happen before. And like, I get it. They're not going to treat it this exact same, but like, you saw what happened with Pete Rose. They didn't forgive that guy until he died. Like, there's a lot of stuff. It's just, you can't do it. And there are videos that they have to watch and things that they have to sign and trainings that they have to take. And all they say is like, don't bet on anything.
Yeah. Okay.
Here are the consequences. But if you see those consequences, don't bet on anything. You probably shouldn't bet on anything.
Something to watch for sure. Caitlin Clark finishes first in All-Star fan voting.
As she should.
3rd among the media and 9th on the players' ballot. This is all in simply the category of guard, not play, just overall player. Now, she was first in All-Star fan voting overall, but 3rd in terms of a guard, 9th in terms of a guard on the players. But explain this one to me. It doesn't make sense other than what we continue to go back to.
Jealous.
Paige Beckers. So Clark finishes 9th. Paige Beckers finished 4th.
Becker should probably be up there. It's all prisoner of the moment stuff anyway. I'm not saying she's the best guard in the league, but
Clark has been injured.
She's 5.
Missed a significant number of games in terms of, against the totality of what the Fever have played this season.
And here's the deal. Jersey sales should not matter. Selling out arenas should not matter. And that's not what it's about. And that's what some of the fan voting is about. It's not necessarily about her play. So the fan voting aside, that I don't take whatever. I respect probably the media voting more than anything else because it's going to be sort of somewhere in the middle. The player voting is just jealousy.
Here's some of the numbers here as Clark and Nafisa Collier will be the captains at the WNBA All-Star Game played in Indiana, July 19th. 18 a game, 5 boards, 9 assists, but also a WNBA leading 6 turnovers. Per game. And that's always been something, even back to Iowa, where Clark has been a little loose with the ball and always tried to make the pass that wasn't necessarily there. And look, when you try to make enough of those, it's also what leads to the spectacular that we see from her.
I'd be interested to see where the 18 and 9 stack up against other guards in the league.
Yeah, well, I can answer that question for you when we hit our next break
Sure.
here. But, I mean, the 18 obviously doesn't lead the league, but
No.
the 9 is going to be awfully
Pretty
close,
high.
I would have to imagine, by the time.
Named a captain at the All-Star game. There's so much jealousy to be had there. And again, I'm not saying she's the best guard in the league or even top 3, but she's got to be top 5 or 6,
And
right?
because she hasn't played enough games here, she's not going to qualify for the scoring, but she would be roughly top 10 in scoring.
But is that guards or everyone?
This is everybody.
So.
And she's second in the entire WNBA in assists.
Okay, so she's top 10 in scoring among all players and second in assists. That means she's got to be better than that in guard. She's probably still second in assists because I'm sure it's a guard that has the assists lead, but got to be better.
The boom keeps coming here. Toronto and Portland already announced coming in 2026 to the WNBA. Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia now joining the party.
Love it.
In a staggered way. It'll be a total of 18 teams when these next 5 are all added by the time we get to 2030.
Portland, Oregon, I assume.
Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon. So if they support anything like they support their soccer team, it's going to be pretty awesome.
Let's take a break here on actually, you know what, before we do that, let's go to part of our conversation with Mike Love here from the Beach Boys. And I asked him about some of the most influential songs the Beach Boys have had, and then our conversation goes on from there.
Good Vibrations was rated as the #1 song for making people feel good by a psychologist in Sheffield, England, just about a little over a year ago. So we've had some real honors.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You've toured, I think, longer or performed more concerts than any major rock and roll band in history, more than 100 million records sold, and yet you still continue to tour and perform. Mike, why?
Well, the audience response is what does it. Our music makes people so happy, and they have such a great time, and we see that every night on stage. And so it's multiple generations show up. You know, grandparents, their children, the grandchildren. It's pretty fascinating to see multiple generations of a family get together and have a good time with our music. So that's the main thing, I think. I mean, obviously, harmonizing in music is a family hobby that became a profession because my cousin Brian and I wrote some great songs together.
And obviously, my condolences, our condolences to you and the loss of Brian, who is well documented, just an absolute genius, and the two of you, an incredible team, writing and performing music. I did hear an interview with you where you said you got to see him towards the end, maybe a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so. What were those moments like?
That's correct. We did. And you know what? All he wanted me to do was sing to him. You know, fun, surfing safari, surfing USA, I get around. He had me singing to him. And we even harmonized on a song called Their Hearts Were Full of Spring, which is by the Four Freshmen, who were a big influence on the Beach Boys in our beginning. So yeah, actually harmonized together. So that was, you know, he was not in good shape.
Yeah.
But it was great that I went to see him, and I got a chance to see him before he left us.
Yeah, and obviously fans will love to hear that. Your brother played in the NBA. Of course, it's well known that Kevin Love is your nephew. Did you ever want to be your brother and vice versa? Did you wish you were that professional athlete? And did Stan wish that he were an entertainer the way you are?
Well, you know, my father was an all-city end on the football team at Washington High School. his son, Stan, became an NBA player, and then Stan's son, Kevin, became even a more successful player.
Yeah.
So I was never as good as those guys at anything having to do with sports. I mean, I love sports, and but I'm better at music, I think.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't know. You're not going to find many athletes who are as good at their sport as you are as writing and performing music, Mike. That's for sure.
Well, it's a pleasure. I mean, something I've been doing all of my life. So it's not, I mean, it's just natural for me. And I love doing it. And we have a great band. And my son Christian sings in the band. He sings God Only Knows because my cousin Carl sang God Only Knows on the Pet Sounds album in 1966. But we lost him 27 years ago to lung cancer. But we have a wonderful band. We replicate those songs as close as humanly possible to the recordings. So we have a really good time.
That was going to be my next question. People who come to the Palace in downtown Albany, what kind of show are they in for? If they've never seen the Beach Boys perform before, but they know your iconic songs, all the records, what kind of show are they in for?
Well, I like to start retro. I like to start with a surfing song. Surfing Safari, Surfing USA, Catch a Wave, Do It Again, a bunch of surfing songs. Then I like to go into the car songs too. We do a Surfer Girl and then the car songs. Don't Worry Baby, Little Deuce Coupe, 409, I Get Around, that kind of thing. So we start, those songs have such energy, and we like to start off with those high energy songs. Then we do 2 hours of music. We'll take a 20-minute intermission, then we'll come back and we'll do our Pet Sounds stuff. We'll do a song. We play a video, which is a tribute to Brian, called Brian's Back. And so it's a comprehensive show that lasts about 2 hours.
And I have my next question is probably one you're tired of getting, just given your age and how people view that. I'm sure people ask you all the time, when are you going to stop or at the very least slow down?
I think as long as you can do it, why not do it? If you're having a good time and if you're healthy. And so far, I'm in good enough shape and having a good enough time to where I like doing what we're doing. And they say I sound great. I sing out those songs every night, and for me, it's fun. And, I've been around for so long. It's kind of like a challenge to do as well in Albany at the Palace tomorrow night as we ever did. And so that's the challenge.
And Mike, before I let you go, you recently, just as recent as 2023, put out another solo album. How often would you say you find yourself writing?
Oh, I think if you're a songwriter, you always tend to write something. It's whether you have the time to get in the recording studio and actually record it. But we do have time. We take time off at times, and we'll record some new stuff. We do a song called Rockaway Beach, which is originally done by the Ramones. They did Surfing Safari way back when, and we do their Rockaway Beach, and it really kicks ass. It's really a up-tempo, great song.
Love the Ramones. Well, congratulations on Songwriters Hall of Fame. Well-deserved, long overdue, certainly. And I know the people in Albany, New York can't wait to see you at the Palace on Friday night. Mike, this was an absolute pleasure and honor for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on the program.
Imagine coming home after a long day and slipping into your own personal hot tub from Wellness Spas. Let the stress of the day melt away as you soak in the therapeutic benefits of the water. Our team at Alpenhaus wants to help you relax and enjoy the advantages of owning your very own hot tub. Now offering a whole new lineup from Wellness Spas, featuring models from their City Life and Peak Life lines. Alpenhaus Pools and Hot Tubs. Visit us at Clifton Park Center and Route 30 in Amsterdam.
That's Mike Love, Beach Boys, founding member and chief writer. Been a little bit of debate over who was really the lead writer in that genius, whether it was Brian Wilson or Mike Love. But good to hear as you
both can get a lot of credit.
They were able to see one another before Brian's passing, which I'm sure was important to both of them. All right, Ash. Sam brought up the comment, and so before I give him credit, let's get back to our Dirty Difficult Done.
And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
We've known for a while Claire Hutton is a really, really good soccer player, but she is looking really impressive on the national stage.
Yeah, and listen, I missed this live because, to be quite honest with you, for the first time in a long time, we were watching the U.S. men's national
Gold Cup.
team. Yeah, an important game for them. We generally pick the women over the men in this house and probably in this country for the most part, because the women's team is generally better. But so I missed this live, but I got a text from you that shared the tweet, and it said Claire Hutton's first international goal. And I watched it and it was awesome. But yeah, I think I'm not telling you anything you probably don't already know. We've been tooting her horn for a long time now, but she's probably the best female soccer player to come out of this area. And she's the best soccer player, period, to come out of this area in a very long time. Just getting started, scored her first international goal Wednesday night, as we're live on a Thursday, against Canada in Washington, D.C. A lot of people that
set piece,
we know
corner, header,
just a little deflection in, and she's so much fun to watch. And we were watching a game the other day, a warm-up for a game, and the broadcasters asked a current captain who wasn't playing in the game, hey, who have you been most impressed with of the young players that you've been able to, I think it was Lindsay Horan. Maybe she's got a married name now, but who have you been most impressed with? And her answer was Claire Hutton. And she went on and on and on about all of the wonderful things that Claire does on the soccer field as a person, and just her maturity, the way she sees the game, the way she plays the game. And you can tell, like, when she's out there, she belongs.
Yeah. She's 19. 19
years old. Passed up a scholarship to UNC to go pro.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the decisions there was no bad decision to be made, but playing for the KC Current, had them in the semifinals of the NWSL, was up for Rookie of the Year. She was a candidate. I mean, is doing all of the things that everyone wishes they could do, which is incredible.
Yep. Nope,
and
Sam,
we claim her because we're Capital Region peeps.
Sam, we did not forget. We would not forget. Yeah, that was a special night for Claire, and you started to say it. You know people who were at that match.
Yep,
last
we do.
night.
Our friends were at the match, and then one of her former teachers works in our district now and is back and forth with her a lot. Was in the crowd last night. So I texted her today. I said, hey, I saw photos. Were you at the game last night? Did you see Claire's goal? And I know it would mean a lot to her. So for that to kind of all come together was very cool.
Yeah,
very
that's
cool.
Awesome. Love it. What's happening in baseball? Here's what's happening in baseball. The two New York teams are not sinking, but limping towards the All-Star break
water
here. The numbers from June 1 to July 1 are stark, especially in the Mets side of things here. 3-13.
I mean, none of it's good.
After being 45-24 going into June 1st, going into June. And I had a friend at work who's a diehard Mets fan say, even after this 3-13 stretch, yeah, but you know what? This is probably about where we expected the Mets to be at the beginning of the season. They were probably playing a little over their skis. And now anything with baseball in a long season like this, you're going to progress or regress to the mean of expectations in a lot of ways. And so maybe that's what the Mets are doing here. But the Mets are also trying to survive a lot of significant injuries, especially to the pitching staff. It sounds like Kodai Senga is close to coming back. And so if I'm a Mets fan, I would still feel good about where we are as a group, knowing that Juan Soto's really just starting to get going here. If I'm a Yankees fan, I'm a little more concerned.
They can't be teams in their division.
With the offense in a lot of ways.
They can't be teams in their division. It's a problem. And, I know that's not all that matters, but it's most that matters. And the division is not that great this year. Like they should be better than they are. But yes, you're right. All of a sudden, the offense fell off of a cliff. And despite Max Fried throwing gems and Carlos Rodon having good starts, it was like they couldn't win those games even because they were scoring 1 and 2 runs a game. This is a team that should be scoring 6 on a bad night. So yes, the offense has somewhat disappeared.
I wonder though, does it feel like there's more? Well, there's not more competition, but are the Phillies tougher competition for the Mets than what the Yankees are up against in the AL East? You have Toronto and Tampa, who are good teams, but Boston's a 500 team this year, and Baltimore has been bad this season. So I wonder if the AL East is just a little more manageable, even though it appears the Phillies are the only real threat in the NL East to the Mets. Like the Marlins and the Nationals and the Braves are not really good baseball teams.
Yeah, but I think then you're better off to be the Mets because you come in second at worst and have a chance to finish first in the division. The Yankees in the AL East, if things keep going in the same direction for all teams, everyone's coming back. The Red Sox are still kind of on the rise. And you've got 2 teams in Tampa and Toronto that Toronto's taken the lead in the division, and they're both willing to run for it. So I think you risk coming in 3rd or 4th in that division, and then it's a problem because maybe you don't make the playoffs.
Yeah. Here's what Judge is doing as we just kind of seem to do this. He is 2nd in home runs now. Cal Raleigh is leading all of baseball in home runs. Judge climbing a little bit in the RBI category. I think he was 6th this time last week. Now 3rd. The OPS is back up over 1,200, which is an insane number. And still 1st in hits as we've crossed the official halfway point, even though we're not yet at the All-Star break here in Major League Baseball. All right, before we say goodbye officially, we are going to look at some of the bigger moves in NBA free agency. But right now I want to take you to some of our live coverage from earlier today with Saratoga Race Course and the lead up to the Belmont. I'm just distracted here looking at some of our DeMarco. Yeah. Big Boston guy.
Yeah. Could be.
And we've talked about the Devers trade and how that changes. I really like the Red Sox going into this season. The injury to Casas and then the trade of Devers. I'm not sure if Boston has enough to get into the postseason. And then this is what every Yankees fan is saying here, Fire Boom. And this has
they've been saying that for the last 5 years. The last 5 years, at the end, but we haven't said it. And I'm not saying that. There hasn't been a lot of that mid-season, though. It's been toward the end of every season, like, okay, they underachieve in the playoffs, fire them. This is mid-season now.
Yeah. Happy 4th to you as well, Jeff. Thanks for popping on here and saying hello. Let's take a quick break here on Onorato and Miller. When we come back, again, some of that live coverage from Thursday morning at Saratoga Race Course.
About novices, no matter who you are, they're going to put all the detail in the world into your brand. I feel like they have been a big part of my success, making me feel comfortable. This is Harrison Butker, Super Bowl champion kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Claim your crown.
Using the highest quality materials, artisanal craftsmanship, and creative design, we're ready to help bring the vacation experience to your own home. With custom-designed Legacy Edition pools, we're confident we can turn your backyard into your own personal oasis, and we'll be by your side through the whole process. Get outside this summer with Alpenhaus. Be sure to visit our 16,000 square foot showroom expansion on Route 30 in Amsterdam. Alpenhaus Pools and Hot Tubs, Amsterdam and Clifton Park.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
It has been 20 years since commentator won his first Whitney here at Saratoga.
He set blazing record times at Belmont and Keeneland on his way to becoming a champion.
When a thoroughbred's days of racing are over, they can live another 20-plus years. And it's the great work of people at Old Friends at Cabin Creek that make that retirement something special.
And it's the bond they develop over those years which makes saying goodbye so difficult, something Old Friends at Cabin Creek and the horse racing world had to do with the great commentator less than a week ago.
And they're off. Commentator breaks at the rail.
The 2008 Whitney at Saratoga. This isn't commentator's last win of his illustrious career, but it might be the one fans remember most.
Commentator's opening quarter, 24 seconds flat, and he shakes loose.
At 7 years old, running in his second Whitney, the Nick Zito-trained New York bred went to the lead and never looked back.
He's just an absolute tiger on the track, and people come here and they see him and remember that.
Here is Old Friends at Cabin Creek in Greenfield Center, a thoroughbred retirement farm 20 minutes from Saratoga Race Course.
On the racetrack, he was definitely breathtaking, catch your eye. Here, he was just mellow and loving and wanting attention. I mean, he was a little grumpy, too.
He was an old man.
He was an old grumpy man
goes,
sometimes,
right?
Yes.
Commentator retired in 2009 after another run in the Whitney. He lived out his retirement at Old Friends until this past Friday, June 27th. He was 24 years old.
It's definitely a family member. I mean, not like a husband, wife, or a child, but it is heart-wrenching because they trust you.
The 2008 Whitney blanket now stands at the entrance to the stall where commentator received care in his final days. In early May, he fell ill with a 105-degree fever, developed a disease called laminitis, and then suffered from an abscess in one of his hooves. It all became too much for the great champion to outrun.
There's a hole where he was, and the fact that he had to have such a horrendous ending, being in that much pain, we're trying to forget that and just remember what a goofball he was and running around in the paddock, and we just miss him being here.
That goofball, Tater as he's known, could sure be a handful too, even to the end.
I'm probably on the record of about 2 or 3 weeks ago being the last person he bit. So
that's something.
Yeah. So he was an interesting guy.
I'm not a racing person, so I was like, what's the big deal with this horse?
The commentator lets it out a notch. Commentator opens up a 2-length lead now. Solar Flare is in an all-out drive here, trying to get closer to commentator.
The way people paid tribute so often when they came here, and everybody wanted to see him. Commentator was really a huge draw. To me, he was just one of the guys.
And here's commentator turning for home in the Whitney with a 3-length lead.
The winner's circle was like a second home for commentator, and this paddock, these pastures at Old Friends at Cabin Creek, will always be home to the 2-time Whitney champion, goofball, grumpy old man. Yeah, you get a little bit older in life, you get a little grumpy. Commentators excused for that, certainly.
Yeah.
Old Friends at Cabin Creek is such a great place to go tour.
Absolutely.
We have the information on your screen about when you can visit between July 1st, right? So they're open now for tours all the way through August 30th, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Caitlin, you don't need a ticket. Donations, of course, are appreciated. Mm-hmm. This is an organization. It's a nonprofit. It's a retirement thoroughbred farm that runs on donations.
Right, it makes such an impact. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bev's, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just going to have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bev's. At the end of the day, if you walk in these stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Albany House.
Naja Thompson join us now here live at the Stretch New York Thoroughbred Breeders. Naja, thanks for always being part of our live coverage here at Saratoga Race Course. A note on Wayne Lucas, who won so many races here in New York State, but he also won with some New York breds, I've read.
He certainly did. He was a legend. He really modernized the sport of horse racing. He will be missed, but his impact will be long-lasting.
We did a piece earlier in the show about Commentator, a horse that won the Whitney here at Saratoga twice, was New York Horse of the Year in 2008 after he won his second Whitney. As we look back at his legacy, how does he kind of depict the success of New York breds overall?
Yes, he's one of the first horses to really represent our program on a national level. As you mentioned, a two-time winner of the Whitney, really the most prestigious race besides the Travers here at Saratoga. So for his trainer, Hall of Famer Nick Zito, and his owner, Tracy Farmer, what a fantastic career that Commentator had at the track. And of course, post-career at Old Friends at Cabin Creek, just up the road.
And what a great way to honor Commentator and Wayne Lucas with 4 extra days of racing here at Saratoga Race Course. Tell me, what's the significance, Naja, of these extra days of racing?
You know, we're here for the 4th of July festival for everybody to celebrate for 4 additional days while the redevelopment is happening downstate at Belmont Park. So another opportunity for friends and family to get together and enjoy racing right for the 4th of July holiday.
And it'd feel like it would just be a heartbeat before we start those 40 days of racing that are traditional here in Saratoga, when I know the breakfast and breeding farm tours really start for the New York Thoroughbred as well. There are still some spots available, but I know you've said these are so popular in the past.
That's right. It's a fantastic opportunity to not only visit a thoroughbred farm, but experience breakfast at the track and then come back for an afternoon of races. So please visit NYRA.com to find out more information for our breakfast and breeding farm tours.
What do you think people see on those tours, if they've never gone before, that maybe gives them a better understanding of the process and the care that goes in to these racehorses?
It's really the full scope of our industry. Here in the afternoons, you get to see the end of the process where they're actually racehorses, but at the breeding farms, you can see the mares, which are the female horses that give birth, and the young foals as they're raised and they're trained up to becoming and starting their racing careers.
Yeah, because as much as obviously people like to bet on the horses, education is a huge part in this industry.
So monumental. We're trying to grow our industry, and the support that we get in the capital region, we want everybody with their friends and family to come out and learn more about the care that our equine athletes receive and the developments that they take at each stage of their lives.
Do you have any favorite stops on those tours?
Well, certainly Jim Bond, who you mentioned, his Song Hill Thoroughbreds is a part of the tour, as well as Sugar Plum Farm, and as well Old Tavern Farm as well.
Yeah, and if you've never done breakfast here at the track, it's incredible. Look, we are fortunate to be here right as the horses warm up on the main track, but to do that track side down below, to witness that, I think it really opens up people's eyes in the quiet moments to what types of athletes are on this track.
There's nothing like it.
Definitely. So serene in the mornings. You have to experience the quietness of training, but then also come back for the afternoons to experience the racing as well.
Yeah.
Such a different vibe, and just it feels very special. And like you said, we're very lucky we get to do this at least once a year.
Yes.
This year we got to do it a few extra times, but we love it.
Yeah. Naja Thompson with New York Thoroughbred Breeders. Naja, thank you.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Life is about making memories. It's about sharing special moments with those we love and cherishing those moments forever. So whether you're gathering the family around a new patio set or grilling a meal they'll never forget, we can help you design a space that is as beautiful and as special as the memories you create. Visit Albany House on Route 30 in Amsterdam and Clifton Park Center, and let us handle the heavy lifting. Take advantage of free local delivery and we'll haul away your old grill or patio furniture.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on. For cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair, you can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alphen House.
Matthew DeSantis from Naira Bet is with us here now at the stretch. Matthew, D. Wayne's name was one that fans could point to and say, hey, I know that name. I'm betting on him.
Exactly right. I'm 44 years old, and growing up, the Triple Crown was D. Wayne Lucas. Those sunglasses, that Stetson hat, the $3,000 suits. I thought every trainer looked like that. I thought every trainer trained like that. It was only in hindsight that you realize the incredible standard that he set for everyone in the sport. By the way, I like the tie.
Well, I was going to say $3,000 suit. The tie isn't $3,000, but it looks good on you. Better on you than it does me.
Yeah, I was going to say nice tie. Great minds think alike, I suppose. I know you both have hundreds of ties to choose from. You picked the same one. Matt, thanks for joining us. I know we always bring you on to benefit our viewers, but we also are very selfish, right? We want to know the tips. We want to know what we should be paying attention to for the next 4 days during this special weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot to consider. I mean, the weather looks pretty good, so the track's going to be fast and firm, so just taking a look at that. I think there's going to be a lot of really great turf racing, obviously with the Belmont Oaks, the Belmont Derby, the Belmont Derby tomorrow. You're going to see a very familiar name for people who watch the Kentucky Derby. A horse, Final Gambit, who ran in the Kentucky Derby, is actually going to get back on the turf. This is something we see sometimes. So some familiar names for fans, and it's going to be a lot of great racing. And hey, listen, we got you covered on Naira Bets.
Yeah, and Naira Bets, it's an app I have, certainly use it. I don't want to say how much I use it. I use it enough.
How much do you lose on it?
Naira's doing just fine. I'll leave it at that. But you always have, I know, specials available for new time players especially, and I saw that it's available this weekend as well.
Absolutely. Bonus $200. If you deposit up to $200, we'll match that deposit bonus. And the great part is once you even start playing on Naira Bets, we have daily promotions up here at Saratoga. So from hit and splits to if you bet X, you get X back. You know, all these types of promotions that we have every single day up here at Saratoga. Plus on top of that, you get expert picks, analysis, handicapping and betting tutorials. We have a YouTube channel that has plenty of race previews as well. So we have you covered from coast to coast, not just here at Saratoga.
And you know, we're partial here at Saratoga. We see the handles on track and off track, and we realize how popular it is for people to bet Saratoga. This is a racing festival that's traditionally held at Belmont and then Aqueduct last year, right? And now up here in Saratoga, I would imagine you guys are expecting the handles on and off to both be big.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a lot of excitement to come up here. So many great races put together. Such a wonderful turf course, a great main track. It's just a great atmosphere, obviously. So we're excited to see this. The bettors are excited to see this, and it should just be a tremendous 4 days of racing and a great way to celebrate our country and our heritage up here in Saratoga.
Yeah, to Chris's point, I mean, this is obviously something we've never had here. So it's going to be interesting to see the crowd, to see who is coming here and who's betting. And Naira Bets having those deals is great, too, because it may be people that have never been to the race course before just to witness this type of thing.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys know, you come out here, it's a family-friendly atmosphere. It's a picnic area. Well, what do I do on the 4th of July? I go out for a picnic usually. So just come on out to the spa. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think people are just going to come kind of throughout the day in between maybe those other barbecues they might have scheduled, but it should be a lot of fun. And, you know, we were just up here just a few weeks ago, obviously, at the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. And I'm going to go out and say, you can never have too much Saratoga. It's always a good thing.
And one last thing here, Matt, what would you tell people who are maybe our first-time horse players as they download the app and learn Naira Bets? What early advice would you give them?
Absolutely. I think keep it simple, stupid. You know, the old kiss, joke. But it is really about sticking there and sticking to your opinions, sticking to simple bets, win bets, exactas where you're trying to pick the top two maybe. Don't try to overcomplicate things at first. I think people try to jump in sometimes and go to the big leagues and they try to do pick fives and pick sixes because there's these huge payoffs. Yes, there are, but there is also a low percentage chance of winning. And so you want to see the ball go through the hoop a few times when you first start playing. So Stick to your opinion on a win bet on a horse in a single race. Get good at that, and then start worrying about stacking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those races together.
And if you're not a numbers person, you can just pick by the name. Whatever name you like, choose.
Absolutely. The name, the color of the horse, the saddle towel,
Bet
the
the
whole
gray,
9 yards.
right?
Exactly.
Bet the gray. All right, Matthew from Naira Bets, Matthew DeSantis with us here live at the stretch. Great tie. Something tells me we'll be seeing you maybe a week from now as well.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bevs, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just going to have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bevs. At the end of the day, if you walk in these stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
The great thing about novices, no matter who you are, they're going to put all the detail in the world into your brand. I feel like they have been a big part of my success, making me feel comfortable. This is Harrison Butker, Super Bowl champion kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Claim your crown.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpine House.
A little bit of our coverage from Saratoga Race Course to get things started for this July 4th racing festival. So
Thanks for that.
Had the Belmont back-to-back years at Saratoga. I would imagine we'll have 4th of July again here next year.
Yes, it depends on how it goes. But
Yeah, I mean, I guess they could say, hey, just do it at Aqueduct.
Yeah.
But I would think, and I don't think
It'll
the
do well
attendance
enough.
is going to be big enough, but I think the betting is big enough because it's Saratoga and not Aqueduct. We'll see. Okay, a lot to get to here in the final 3 minutes. We're not going to jam it all in. We'll just kind of hit some of the highlights here. The Rockets, I think, significantly improved this offseason despite trading away who appears to be a budding star in Jalen Green.
Yep.
But you get Kevin Durant. You needed that A1 scorer. You now have him.
And some good
Şengün's a
pieces.
really good player. And then you just say, hey, we are going to defend. Clint Capella back to Houston where he started, and Dorian Finney-Smith, 2 really good defenders. The Nuggets are a really interesting team here now too, Ash. Trading away the Michael Porter contract, which is essentially a max contract for a guy like Cam Johnson, who can really shoot it. They bring back Bruce Brown, who was part of the championship team a few years ago, and they add Tim Hardaway Jr. And then the Bucks signed Miles Turner, and they released Damian Lillard, who, of course, has the ACL injury. Overall thoughts?
Was that an ACL or an Achilles? I forget. Either way. Overall thoughts. I was a little bit surprised by the Lillard thing, but he's getting older, coming off a significant injury. I love this for Miles Turner. This was a guy who spent his entire career up until this year going to the NBA Finals with the Pacers, but now he's going to get his, which is cool. And yeah, I think I love it for Houston because, like you said, I think this is as much all in as you can kind of go. You are giving Kevin Durant the pieces. You are trying. You are saying, here's your defensive line who's going to keep people out of the paint and go run and play with some of the young guns that we have. And they still have a lot of young talent despite trading away Jalen Green.
Yeah, Fred VanVleet runs the show, a veteran point guard, but we mentioned Şengün. Cam Whitmore is a really nice young player who comes off the bench for them. They were the 2 seed in the West. They're loaded up and ready to go for maybe even a deeper playoff run. Yeah, Sam says Achilles. Okay. There have been so many Achilles where it kind of feels like, boy, was that an Achilles for him too? The Lakers seem to strike out on a lot of things other than LeBron opting back in, and that hamstrings them in some ways anyway. They signed DeAndre Ayton 2-year deal. That second year is a player option. Does it make LA a contender in the West? No, it does not.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, they had to go get a center because we were talking about everybody goes to get centers nowadays. You need a center, number one, to defend, but also to play in the paint. And he scratches the itch or fills the need.
Speaking of free agency, 2-time defending Cup champs, Panthers reloaded. Bennett, Marchand, Ekblad all back with Florida to try to get a 3rd straight Cup.
I mean, Marchand's going to play till he's 50 at this rate. I'm just kidding. But 6-year extension, you're
at 37.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Not bad.
Yeah, he has parlayed that playoff run into a really nice deal with the Panthers. Have a great 4th of July weekend, everybody. Thanks for watching Onorato and Miller.